Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mind the Moment's Thursday morning gathering, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. This is the place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to talk with us about what mindfulness means to them, and to also, as a community, discuss how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I am Suzanne Rowe Palacino, and I am very happy to be here with Tara Healey, founder and director of Harvard Pilgrim's Mindfulness Program. Good morning, Tara.
Good morning, Suzanne, and hello, everyone. Good to be with you this week.
Yeah, so today, as always, we'll start off with a question for the group.
Yes.
And Tara will share some thoughts with us. Actually, Tara will do the meditation first and then share some thoughts with us.
Yep.
And then after that, we'll have time for questions. So with that, if you could open up the chat at the bottom of your screen as we begin. And we've been reminding people to check your settings in the chat to make it so that you're not just seeing the comments from the panelists, but you're seeing all attendees. So it's panelists and all attendees if you look at that drop-down menu. So you can see the comments as we go. Okay, so over to you, Tara.
All right, thanks, Suzanne. So it's been a week since the mayhem in DC and Washington. And, I was sort of thinking back to last Thursday, and it was such a kind of a somber way for all of us to begin the day. And, there's so much happening in the world right now. And I wanted to just start with an emotional temperature check this morning and just simply ask, how are you doing this morning right now? Maybe how did you sleep last night? Anything that just kind of lets us know how you are. And again, as Suzanne said, to go ahead and write that in chat and make sure that it's panelists and attendees. But I'd love to just kind of hear how folks are doing, especially given this past week.
Yeah, so someone said anxious and not sleeping well. Comment, slept better than in the past week, but still meh. Can mindfulness help with feeling overwhelmed? That was kind of an inquiry there. Sad at the state of the country, frustrated. My exercise, meditation, and other tools are working to help to keep me doing okay. Someone's still checking in, not sure how they're feeling.
Yeah.
I started going for my morning walks as soon as I wake up, before even looking at my phone. So I'm feeling well. That's a really good idea. Yeah. So lots of hanging tough, thanks to Tara and the great instructors.
Yeah.
I feel strange today, many ups and downs. So a lot of mixed feelings.
Yeah, and I just, I mean, everybody knows this, but it feels worth saying that just to normalize this, that having emotional highs and lows, and given the kind of, the times that we're in, and it sounds like many of you are taking good care to do your best. One thing I've started doing every day this past week is I've been waking up really early. So I don't know if anybody else has been waking up early, but I've been waking up pretty early. And I've been going outside in my backyard just for a moment and, breathing the cool air. I don't even put a coat on. So it's like, I just head out and just stand for a moment and kind of look around, take in the sky, the night sky, because it's still dark, and the trees, and just listen for the sounds of the morning. And it's just, just a couple of minutes tops. But I feel like it offers a kind of reset, because I'm also looking, many of you are doing things that are supportive and that are helpful. And somebody also said earlier about can mindfulness help with, I think it was like anxiety and I'll be addressing that and talking about that a little bit after the meditation this morning. So let's see, 4:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of emotions, lots of feelings. And thank you all for, your willingness to just put it out there because that's valuable. So whether it's numb or sad or feeling a little better, it's all what it is. So um, let's go ahead and go right into a practice. And so what I'd ask everybody to do is, what we do each Tuesday and Thursday is just find a posture that feels like it'll serve you well this morning. So you can be seated or, you could be seated on a meditation cushion in a chair, you could stand. Always remember eyes open or closed. So if it feels better to have the eyes open, you just want to gaze downward a little bit if you're choosing that. Otherwise, allow the eyes to close and just notice your body, allowing a posture that is upright and engaged. And I'd ask everybody to take 2 deep breaths on your own as a way to help settle any surface tension. So just when you're ready, do a deep inhalation through your nose and do a bit longer exhalation through the mouth. So let's all take a moment to do that. And surrender your support into the surface. So whether you're standing or seated, just allow yourself to be held by the support beneath you, maintaining that upright posture with a spine, again, that is straight but not stiff. And notice any physical sensations that you're experiencing right now, perhaps from the morning so far. Some of you may have already had busy mornings or not, or just um, whatever the body is offering you. The idea is to be curious and receptive about that. So, coming out of the narrative in the mind, see if you can drop the attention, the awareness into the physical body. Maybe noticing the points of contact with the back of the body and the surface that you're on. Perhaps noticing a vibration or a tingling temperature. Each time the mind moves into thought, just bringing it back to fully feeling the physicality, the physical expression of how you're feeling this morning, of your activity so far. It always shows up physically. So just see, like a scientist, and you happen to be the subject. What's happening here? What do the points of contact with the back of the body and the surface feel like? What else is happening physically that you are aware of? You're just taking a moment to up the receptivity and interest in what's happening. Not trying to change it, not trying to make it different, letting it be, just allowing. Well, let's begin now to narrow the focus of attention from whole body awareness and perhaps even sound in the room that you're in or outside of the room. Begin to bring that focus inward and notice the rhythm of your breath. Just notice when you breathe in and when you breathe out. Where in your body do you notice that sensation of breath most? Where is it most pronounced? So breathing in and breathing out, do you notice the rise and fall of the abdomen, belly, chest? Do you feel it perhaps even in the nostrils when you breathe in and when you breathe out? So for the remainder of the practice, find that part of your body where you notice the breath sensation, where it's easiest for you to connect to. Just let your attention track that in breath and track that out breath. The mind will go into thought, not a problem. Each time you see it, you just release the thought, the memory, the planning, the worry. Now you can even name it thinking, soften the body, and then just escort your attention back to the breath. This is how we do it. It's not stopping thought. We're not trying to control our mind. We're just seeing that each time we've wandered into a memory, planning, or something else, some kind of narrative, we just decide that we're not going to follow it, that we're formally practicing creating some steadiness of mind. And we're going to just bring the attention back to the breath. And so the rest of the practice will be very lightly guided, just occasional reminders. Each time you notice that you're in thought, simply release the storyline, that narrative, soften your body, and return to your breath. And noticing where the mind is, either naming and releasing the thoughts, softening the body, and just simply returning to the breath. And as we bring this meditation to a close, may we be peaceful and at ease. May our heart be soft and open. May we be safe and protected, and our bodies healthy and strong. And may we wish that aspiration as well for all of those in our lives known to us, our families, our friends, acquaintances, all of known and unknown. May we hold that aspiration for all beings everywhere. And as you are ready, if your eyes were closed, you can slowly open the eyes. And sometimes it's good also to take a deep breath again, deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth as a way to kind of reset and reconnect.
Great. Thank you so much, Tara.
Yeah.
I think this is what everyone needed this morning.
Yeah.
So Tara, you were also, you had a few thoughts that you had mentioned that were related to the theme this month.
Yeah.
Old is new again. So I thought maybe now is a good time to share those.
Yeah. No, I would love to. Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting theme. I think everything is old and new again. It kind of conjures up this idea that there's a lot of things that we do that are second nature to us that we don't even have to think about. And there are pluses to that, and maybe there can be a downside as well. So I recently listened to two experts in neuroscience, and it was on the topic of brain health. So Dr. Sanjay Gupta was one of them. He is the CNN, I think it's CNN medical correspondent. The other was a webinar with Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett. So these were two separate things. So Dr. Gupta said kind of the usual stuff I think that many of us know about, getting enough exercise, how we eat is really important, getting enough sleep. But he also talked about, and this caught my attention, the idea of new ways of doing things. So we sort of said little things like if you eat with your left hand, try holding the fork in your right hand. So just do this periodically. And this creates new neural pathways, and that actually helps keep our brain sharp. And I really thought, that mindfulness can support us in doing this. First of all, just to remember to try it, to do something that's common, but in a new way. So last night I was brushing my teeth. I'm a lefty, so I was brushing my teeth with my right hand. And it really required a fair amount of focus and concentration. But even beyond that, he said learning something new, like a game or a hobby, a new language, knitting, something that is kind of unusual for you. And that helps keep the brain sharp. So I thought that was really interesting. And I really saw the connection with how mindfulness can help us in that way. The other was a webinar about brain health as well with, as I mentioned, Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett. And I had heard about her through Jackie Johnson, who is one of our Mind the Moment instructors and is a frequent guest on this in this series. But Dr. Feldman Barrett, she talked very specifically about the value of mindfulness. And even further, and this was a couple things that caught my attention, is she talked about the value of experiencing unpleasant emotions. And Rebecca on Tuesday, for anybody that was on the call, she talked about pleasant emotions, unpleasant emotions, and then those that are more neutral. But Dr. Feldman Barrett talked about, the value in actually feeling these unpleasant emotions to allow for them. And the way we do that is we bring mindful awareness and we up the curiosity. So when we are feeling, and this was in the chat earlier, so when we're feeling unsettled or anxious, usually we don't want it, and that's normal. But the idea and what she talked about for enhancing brain well-being is to actually allow yourself to come out of the narrative in the head, which often is what creates it, and just physically what's happening. And really like you're a scientist in the subject. So it could be, oh, I feel a little bit of tightness or tension or pulsing or vibration. So that really caught my eye because you don't often hear that, but it's such an important part of the practice. I also, this wasn't her, but I love the analogy. It's like taking a giant beach ball that's blown up and trying to stuff it underwater. It always will pop back up, and usually with more force. So there is a lot of value in feeling them. It allows them to kind of work through our body. But the thing that I loved that she also talked about was for brain health was regularly experiencing and upping the sense of awe and wonder each day. And it really reminded me of a teaching by Joseph Goldstein, who was one of my teachers. And he talked about how, like, we need language in order to make sense of the world, to have conversations about things, we kind of categorize and we label them. So tree, right? When I say the word tree, most of you probably have an image of a tree in your head right now, and we pass them all day long. We look out our windows and we see them. But that's sort of, often in our day-to-day rush, that can be the extent of it. Or if I say the word bird, same thing, conjures something up. The one that he often uses is Big Dipper. Like, it's just a constellation of stars, but we've actually given it a name. And that name kind of helps us have conversations about things and make sense of the world. And I notice when the mind is quiet, in particular when I'm on like a meditation retreat, kind of the mystery of nature feels very real. So these things called trees and birds that we see very regularly that we need to categorize and name so we can talk about them. But when we think about them beyond their name, they are quite mysterious. And somebody posted on Facebook recently a group of starlings flying in a really cool pattern around San Rafael, and it was really remarkable. And it just sort of made me think, like, how do these creatures know to come together? How do they do this? And then I'm reading further on the bird theme. This writer for Audubon magazine, her name's Julia Zarankin, and she was in the middle of a career transition. And as she put it, she was auditioning hobbies. And she thought that her curiosity about birds was like just a transitory flirtation. And then, as she says, she saw a red-winged blackbird. And as she says, fiery vermilion patches on the bird's epaulets contrasted with the glistening jet black bodysuit, and it caught her off guard. And as she said, I hadn't expected such a slick outfit on a bird. And she goes on to say that watching this bird balance on a cattail was utterly majestic. And she could not help but marvel. And then she learned it was the most popular bird in Canada where she lives. And she thought, how could I have been missing this? And so that's what I mean when I say, I think we hear bird, we categorize it, we see them all around us, just like trees. But it was like when she really realized, the magnificence of this. So that's kind of what Dr. Feldman's talking about. It's just like upping this sense of mystery that surrounds us. And then one more quick thing that I'll share that I found really interesting. So some of you may know this book. It's called The Hidden Life of Trees. The author is Peter Wohlleben. So a couple quick things. The oldest tree on Earth is in Sweden, and it is, get this, 9,500 years old. How does that happen? How does anything live that long? But there's more. So, which I think this is so cool. If anybody saw the Facebook post this morning, it was a picture of an African acacia tree. And this tree releases a chemical into the air that signals a threat to other trees if a giraffe is eating. So if a giraffe is eating off a tree, that acacia tree will release a chemical into the air that signals to the other trees that there is danger. The other trees produce a toxic chemical that wards off that predator, which is amazing. And then the other thing that tree does, and this could be true for others, when insects are eating the leaves taste the saliva of the insect, okay? And then that tree sends a chemical messenger to a predator that kills those insects. And also trees are social and they care for each other. They feed and protect, and isolated trees have shorter lifespans. So just amazing. So I want to leave you with a question that the author Peter Wohlleben left, which is, he says, I encourage you to look around where you live. What dramas are being played out in the wooded areas that you can explore? Take a closer look, slow down, breathe deep, look around. So I sort of want to leave you all with that. And
there, just one other thing.
Yeah.
There was someone that asked a question in the chat about the name of the neuroscience scientist again. And it was
Yes.
Dr. Feldman Barrett.
So Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett. Oh, I see somebody else. Yeah, put it at Dr. And Dr. Sanjay Gupta. So Dr. Feldman Barrett is on a podcast. I'm trying to think of the name of it because it's through Vox, VOX. Anyway, if you Google her, that would come up though. So I think both of those are worth looking into. But I just, in talking about how we label things, that when we do that, they sort of begin to lose their mystery a little bit. They just become, oh yeah, there's that bird, or there are those trees, but there is such a whole mysterious thing going on that's around us all the time. And so everything is old is new again, to kind of just circle back to the theme. As I've been out on my walks and runs, I have been paying much more attention to trees. I love trees, but just this thought that they protect and they care,
That's really, it really does challenge us to look at things. I feel like when we name things, I think we kind of generalize. When you say bird or tree, you generalize it, not looking at the intricacies and the different
True. That's a good point. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a good point.
It challenges us to have, every being is an individual. So to connect with the individuality of.
Yeah, I love that, Suzanne, that point you're just making too, because it's not just the natural world, but we have experiences with people, friends and family, and sometimes we can categorize them in a particular way, but they're just as mysterious. And there's usually much more to them than how we may have categorized them. So labeling and categorizing it has a downside. I mean, if we didn't have it, we couldn't make sense of the world and talk to each other about things. But
yeah, and mindfulness helps us to take a minute and really reconnect with the differences amongst all these beings.
Yeah, it's so true. So, thank you all for joining this morning. And here's to a weekend of upping the awe factor, to noticing the natural world and connecting in with the mystery of this in the midst of all of the challenges surrounding us right now.
Yeah, such great reminders. Thank you so much, Tara.
Yeah.
Thank you for all of your wisdom and great information.
Yeah.
So as we come towards the end of our time together, just a few ways to stay in touch with us. And reminding you that we're here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. So also reminders that there are yoga sessions, Zumba classes, and wellness webinars at Living Well at Home on our website. Also connecting with us through mindful.org/pain, which has a number of pain management resources that people can access both in English and in Spanish, and also connecting with us on Facebook at Mind the Moment. And these sessions and older sessions and sessions that Tara has had with interviews with mindfulness researchers are all on our YouTube page, Mind the Moment. So again, thank you so much, Tara, for being with us this morning.
Yeah.
And thank you to everyone for contributing and connecting with one another, and for sitting with us this morning.
Yeah.
So we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday next week.
Yes. And I'll see you
and
Thursday next week, everybody. So again, and thank you for sharing so openly, and just good to see this community, and I'm grateful.
Yes, very much so. And I hope everybody has a good day. And just those reminders from Tara are always wonderful to take a look at things in a different way. So thank you again, and we'll see you soon.
Okay.